the customs department has shown that most of the motor vehicles that we're importing this country are hybrids, because Kenya are now going to motor vehicles that don't rely wholly on fuel, but are both that are semi-electric and semi-use fuel, Honorable Speaker. And as such, we have incentivized manufacturers of electric motor vehicles, electric motorcycles, electric border cycles, so that in the long run we grow our manufacturing of electric buses, electric vehicles, and electric motorcycles. And not just that, zero-rated also their charging system of their charging units. And we look forward, just like countries like the United States of America or the UK, where most of the means of transport, whether it is buses or motorcycles, Honorable Speaker, are going to be electric, and therefore reducing the need for use of fuel, Honorable Speaker. Key to note, Honorable Speaker, one of the greatest challenges we face in the country has also been the depreciation of the Kenya shillings against the US dollars, Honorable Speaker. And the oil component, the amount of money we are spending per month, per annum, importing this food is a point of concern. So until that time, when we explore our own oil and have our own oil, Honorable Speaker, we have to think of alternative sources of energy that are green, that are cheaper, and that are sustainable, Honorable Speaker. We also was interesting to find innovations that have been done by some companies, and I would like to give an example of what we call that makes biofuel. They have come up with an innovation of stoves and canisters that reduce the cost of fuel for use for cooking at home to Kenya shillings 10 shillings per meal. That it can cost you at least around 10 shillings to prepare a meal at home. And how much does that cooker and that canister cost? Only 1,500, Mr. Speaker. And these particular institutions, we have seen them expand across the country. And if we continue to incentivize use of clean energy for cooking, we are going to get away from these fossil fuels and reduce the pressure on our imports, Honorable Speaker, therefore leading to a stabilization of our shilling and make the movement of particular sectors and our consumables much more cheaper, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our committee also introduced an amendment to the first schedule of VAT Act, incorporating taxable food supplies that are made for the school feeding program, acknowledged by the Cabinet Secretary of Education, Honorable Speaker. During a time when you're talking about hunger, when you're talking about food security, Honorable Speaker, and our school children, and our school-going children, we have seen efforts even by county governments. We have seen efforts by, I think, our best serving example is the constituency headed by the Honorable KJ, that have been able to establish a very effective school feeding program at, I think, only 20 shillings per meal, Honorable Speaker. So what we have done is an introduction to introduce to the first schedule of the VAT Act taxable so food supplies that are made to school feeding programs to be zero rated. This means that those school feeding programs that are counties, that are different institutes are trying to start in our schools then are going to be incentivized and are going to grow, Honorable Speaker. And I think another example is what Mombasa Cement is doing in Mombasa by having a school feeding program that almost feeds all school-going children in that particular county, Honorable Speaker. The committee observed that there was an attempt, or there's a proposal in the bill to exempt from VAT transfer of businesses as a going concern. This, Honorable Speaker, would have led to a loss of 100 billion shillings in terms of the proposed taxes, Honorable Speaker. And this is one of the losses that we have recommended for deletion. So that if when I transfer my money from my bank account, from one bank account to another bank account, I pay VAT and I pay excess duty. When I transfer money from my M-Pesa account to someone else's M-Pesa account, even when I'm transferring money from one of my M-Pesa lines to my other M-Pesa line, I get to pay a tax. Why would we exempt transfer of businesses as a going concern from taxation? From the calculations given to us by the Budget Parliamentary Office, this was going to lead to a potential loss of 100 billion shillings, money that we have now got back in the bill, and therefore the deletion of this particular clause would mean that we'll be able to raise an additional 100 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker. Clause 36 was another contended issue, Mr. Speaker. This clause required, if you went to court and you had a tax dispute, and you went to tribunal, and you lost the case, if you wanted to appeal your case, you would be required to deposit 20% of the disputed amount with Kenya Revenue Authority. We found that this was a violation of the rights of taxpayers to access justice. It was unfair to require somebody who seeks legal redress because they feel aggrieved to be required to pay a deposit of 20% for it. And Honorable Speaker, we urge this House to carry on the proposal for deletion of this particular clause, Honorable Speaker. Clause 43B, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Honorable Speaker, again, I had extensively talked about that particular matter. Let me get to clause 59. The deletion of clause 59 from the bill, Honorable Speaker, was about the Tax Procedures Act and general provision relating to objections and appeals. And this, Honorable Speaker, was opposing restrictions to access to justice, and a proposal that, Honorable Speaker, we say they be deleted. Clause 61, Honorable Speaker, regards to Section 84 of the Tax Procedures Act. The committee proposes that 61 be deleted due to its punitive nature of concerning the tax shortfall penalty. Currently, Clause 61 imposes penalties for tax shortfalls without taking into consideration of innocent and inadvertent errors made by taxpayers. Honorable Speaker, this clause said that if you underdeclared your taxes, or the Kenya Revenue Authority felt that you had underdeclared your taxes, that they would penalize you for it. And we felt it may not have been deliberate. It could be an accounting error that was done when you're filing your returns, and therefore we have deleted that requirement for that particular penalty to be imposed on taxpayers. Clause 62 on penalties for failing to comply with the Electronic Systems Act. This amendment is to insert a new section 86 that aims to modify the penalty provisions related to non-compliance with the electronic tax system, making the penalty more reasonable and conducive. Honorable Speaker, this particular proposal was recommending that if you were not on e-teams, or if you were found that you needed to issue an iTax receipt but did not issue one, then you would be fined 10 times more. You'd be required to pay a fine of 10 times the amount that was tax due. Honorable Speaker, in as much that we want to enforce compliance with this particular tax system, we felt a fine of 10 times more was too punitive, and Honorable Speaker, we propose that the penalty only be 2 times of the tax due, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we are proposing an amendment to the bill to include a new clause 67, and this, Honorable Speaker, it wants to address the powers granted to the Commissioner regarding the adjustment of specific rates of export levy. Currently, Section 54 allows the adjustment of the specific rate of export levy to account for inflation. However, it is proposed that this provision be removed as it mirrors Section 10 of the Excess Duty Act. Clause 6 of the bill already seeks to eliminate the Commissioner's power to adjust specific rates of excess duty based on inflation. The rationale behind this proposed amendment is to ensure consistency in the treatment of specific rates for both export levy and excess duty, Honorable Speaker. Clause 76 of the bill on the deductions of the National Housing Fund, Honorable Speaker. Another very contentious issue. We listened to the view of Kenyans, and Kenyans told us it is a good thing to make houses affordable to the public. It's a good thing that somebody who rents an apartment in Keno or in Section 58 or in either part of the country and pays rent have an alternative of paying the equivalent of the rent but get to own that house at the end of a particular period, Honorable Speaker. Mortgages, access to mortgages still remain a privilege of the high-end people in this particular market, Honorable Speaker. We agreed, and every stakeholder that we met told us, yes, it's going to lead to job creation. The doors that are going to be made, the windows that are going to be made, the suppliers for those particular goods, the people that are going to provide the rest of the services, that is the spiral effect of it. The people are going to sell food into those particular units, Honorable Speaker. We felt, they said there is a need for this particular housing fund, Honorable Speaker. But they were worried about the how. And they were telling us, for you to start us off with 3% of our basic pay, it is too punitive. They told us, and one of them, I remember, looking at me on the face and telling me, Honorable Chair, if we cap this particular housing fund to 2,500 shillings a month, and you tell me that I'm paying 3%. You're not paying 3% of your basic pay. You're actually paying around 0.0045 of your basic pay. And they said, this is discriminative. We feel that you people that are earning a lot more want to pay much less than us. Because I get to pay my rightful share of 3% if I'm earning around 80,000 shillings a month, but you who is earning 500,000 shillings, because you have capped that contribution to 2,500, you pay 0.0045%. Honorable Speaker, we listened to the view of these Kenyans, and we propose a reduction in the housing fund contribution from 3% employer and 3% employee to 1.5% employee contribution and 1.5% employer contribution, Honorable Speaker. And it's very important to note that the capping that was capping the contribution to